Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank each one of you for taking the time to come and spend some time with us here at the university this morning. At different times, various individuals at the university have told me that we love to have a party at the university, and we don't necessarily have to have a very good reason for having one. But I can assure you today we have a very good reason for having one. It is our 95th anniversary. So this is a very historic day on our campus, and we appreciate the fact that you are here. As I was coming to work this morning, Janice and I were driving through campus, and I said, I just wonder what Dr. Birdwell would think if he could come back today and look at this campus and look at the changes that have taken place in 95 years. And then I said, I just wonder what I would think if I could come back in 95 years and see the changes that have taken place in this campus, because this is a very progressive campus, one that continues to move forward. And we do that because we have all of your support. So we thank you very much for you taking time to be here today. I would like to start the program by introducing the people on the platform, and then we'll move into the program where various individuals will have comments. I have a list I've been given, and it's changed so many times. I'm not for sure who's where on the platform, so I'll start on this and then we'll pick up where we need to. First, we have Dr. Jerry Jackson somewhere, and I'm going to ask all these people to stand and remain standing until we have everyone standing, and then we'll recognize them at one time. But Dr. Jackson, and then next we have Senator Nichols, and then we have Ms. Bridget Henderson, and David Alders somewhere behind me. And we have Kate Childers somewhere behind me. And we have Alton Fraley, maybe directly behind me. Look, I have to be very careful. He's looking, he got my back. Man, I feel all right. And then we have Jeffrey Aguna, Jeffrey. And then we have Shelley Brophy. And Mr. Craig Turnage, and Jill Steele, who has moved down, and am I overlooking anyone on stage? Very end, Mita Hudson. So we'll recognize all these individuals now, and then we'll start. We'll start with Dr. Jerry Jackson this morning, and many of you know Dr. Jackson. He is a noted historian in his own right on many topics, but he is our SFA historian. He's been at the university now for about 48 years. He is director of special studies here at the university, and he is a Regents professor. And he is writing a definitive book now on the history of SFA, and he will have it ready when we celebrate in our 100th anniversary in 23. So at this time, we're going to let Dr. Jackson set the tone for our program by giving us 95 years of history of SFA in about 5 minutes. Dr. Jackson.
The truth of the matter is he added 2 minutes. He told me 3. I don't know that irony is always appreciated by the present generation, but I think we should appreciate irony. And one of the great ironies is that you put a long-winded historian on the program before politicians. You'll never get your cake. We celebrate for all sorts of reasons, and 95 years of anything ought to be celebrated. The fact that you've lived 95 years is wonderful. I'm sorry Peggy Wright is not here, but she will be 95 this year in celebration of her life. That's great. Ed Cole's here, he's 96. Anyone who is in their 90s needs to be celebrated, and our institution is 95. Anniversaries give us a chance to reflect, chance to stop. It's kind of say, thanks for the memories. That's really what our alma mater song says. and we make resolutions and we set goals and all sorts of things like that. But we sometimes forget that most of SFA's turning points were not determined by us and not determined by the individuals here. There was the Depression, there was World War II, there was the Korean War, there was the Vietnam War, there was the baby boom, there was all sorts of other things, national and state events that we have to work within. What we really have to do is talk about the role that we as individuals play within the circumstances which we find ourselves. And I think that SFA has ended up being extremely good at making do with what they have and where they are and at the time they are. And I want to start by talking about the events of 95 years ago. Everything that could go wrong went wrong in the founding of SFA. The university was actually talked about and put on the books in 1915, but they botched it in Austin, so it had to be redone. Then in 1917, they passed it again, and they said they were going to put a school in East Texas, and so we got a charter in 17. 2 days later, the United States declared war on Germany, so it was put on hold. We didn't get the funding for SFA until 1921. And in 1922, towards the end of the year, when everything was looking really, really grim, Dr. Birdwell got the information that the man who was building the Austin building had gone bankrupt and had fled town. So Birdwell didn't have a place to open the new school. He wrote, though, a comment, which I think I've got somewhere here. He more or less said, we should approach the new year with all of its uncertainties, with fortitude and courage. That has sort of been the motto for SFA ever since. And in the spring, they had to put together where they were going to open. Fortunately, his roommate in college was superintendent of the Nacogdoches school system, and he offered the high school campus for SFA, so they had a place. They didn't have any places for the students to live, so they had to drum up that, and the town put together a barbecue to sort of entice all the people in East Texas to come look at the new school, which wasn't in existence, of course, but to be interested. And so then he had to set a date for opening, and that was the biggest risk of all. And so he just chose a date that was familiar to him. It was going to be his birthday. This is Dr. Birdwell's birthday. September the 18th of 1923 was to be his 53rd anniversary. He really had no idea that he would get a school open by then. And everything, as I said, went wrong. And finally, on the 18th, 270 people showed up down at the old high school campus and registered for the classes. It was considered a miracle at the time. At the end of the day, after they were all terribly exhausted, and they felt good and everything, but the town and the faculty had put together a birthday party. So they had cake and ice cream on the first day that the school opened, and it was a celebration of his birthday, but it was more a celebration of we've made it. We've got it open. We've got something to work with. And it set a formula, which I must say we haven't always followed. Oh, we've had plenty of celebrations and everything else. But in the 70s and 80s, when things were going well, we forgot all of the troubles we'd had to go through before. The school, at its 10th anniversary, was in the middle of the Depression. They didn't even have enough money to buy and to put together an annual. The 2nd anniversary, the 20th anniversary, they couldn't do a thing. It was in the middle of the war. And so the 25th anniversary, 48, was a huge release because it was the first time they could celebrate and say the war's over and the Depression's over. That was great. The Korean War came right after that. Our population of students fell to its lowest at the beginning of the Second World War, and then had built back up by 1948, and then collapsed again in the Korean War. So it has not been easy. It hasn't been easy to keep things going. It hasn't been easy. And when the baby boom hit and all of the money started rolling in, we didn't look around and say, well, it's happening all over the state. Every school's growing. We just thought we had done everything right. And it's perfect. And they were here. And we thought they would be here forever. And so at the end of that, rather than looking at population figures, we went on and set our projections for 15,000 will be there and nothing. We haven't gotten there. And that's because sometimes you need to stop and realize your own mistakes and missteps and overprojections and extensions, et cetera. Everything has changed and continues to change. The formula, though, of September the 18th works. And fortunately, we've had an administration in the last 10 years that has realized that you have to follow the idea of you make what you can out of what you have and where you are, and you try everything that you possibly can do to get things to work, and usually they will work. But it takes a lot of hard work, and in the process, it's never out of place to stop and have a piece of cake.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. I think you kept it to 5 minutes. Next, we're going to hear from Senator Nichols, who is our Senator, District 3. I might tell you that Senator Nichols was elected in 2006. That's the same year I was named president at SFA. We have worked together from the very beginning. He has helped us secure TRB funding. The nursing school we have, he's the person that brought in the funding for that. His very first session in Austin, they said there was no TRBs would be issued. There was only one in the state, and it was Senator Nichols for SFA for our nursing school. And then we have just opened our new STEM building, the Ed and Gwen Cole STEM building, maybe 3 weeks or so ago. And once again, he carried the bill for that, $46.4 million. And so he comes through always. It may take you 1 session, 2 sessions, whatever. But we're not bashful about going to him and requesting our needs. I will be in Austin on Thursday this week. We'll be presenting our requests for the next 2 years, and we will advise them that we will be requesting a TRB. We've already consulted with Senator Nichols, and I'm sure he will keep his record intact. Just a matter of time we will have that. And he does so much more for this university, and he attends all the special events. Anytime we invite him to something special, he is here. So we're sincerely thankful that he is our senator and how well he takes care of SFA. He is not an alum of SFA. You would certainly think so by the way he takes care of us. And so, Senator Nichols, we appreciate you very much, and thank you for what you do for us, and we will work with you as a partner to assist you in any way that we can. Please make your remarks.
Thank you very much. I was told that Travis Clardy could not make it today. He had to be somewhere on house business. So it told me that it gives me an extra 20 minutes. In 1923, the President of the United States was Warren Harding, followed by Calvin Coolidge. 1923, that's when the college was founded. Many things happened that year. It was a time known as the Roaring '20s. The stock market was red hot. Flappers flaunted their disapproval of conventional behavior. My aunt was a flapper. My mom's sister. Insulin was introduced in mass production for diabetes in 1923. King Tut's tomb was opened in 1923. The first successful flight of an auto-gyro, we now call them helicopters. First baseball game in Yankee Stadium was played, and the world saw its first domestic refrigerator, first time, 1923. And State Senator Wilfred Roy Cousins Sr. wrote the legislation that founded Stephen F. Austin. In 5 more years, we're going to be celebrating 100 years. Can't wait to see it. And I think back about what all happened in the 95 years. The first thing that comes to my mind with this institution are all the young men and women this university educated, the impacts they had on their communities and this country we live in, and the more things that are going to happen as we move forward. That's the first thing I think of when I think about Stephen F. Austin's 95 years. I do have a proclamation from the Texas Senate, proclamation number 917. I am not going to read it because I understand we do have a proclamation from the city as well, probably very similar. But I do congratulate the university and all those who worked here that made it happen and those that came before. So congratulations, and thank you for inviting me to be here with you. Thank you.
Next, we'll hear from Ms. Bridget Henderson. Ms. Bridget Henderson is a 2-time graduate of SFA. She's a member of our Board of Regents. In fact, she has served 1 term already, 6 years, and then she has been reappointed by Governor Abbott to serve a second term, a second 6-year term. And she was elected chair of our Board of Regents. In addition, I might mention she has a son that went to SFA, plays basketball for the Lumberjacks, and she's extremely proud of him. We're extremely proud of him. We're extremely proud that she is chair of our board at the current time. And this time, I'll ask Ms. Bridget Henderson to come forward and offer greetings on behalf of our Board of Regents. Ms. Henderson.
Thank you so much. What a great day to be a lumberjack. I have to say, many years ago when I attended SFA, I never thought I would be standing here celebrating the 95th birthday with you. What a great honor for me. And on behalf of the Board of Regents, I want to welcome you to the birthday party today. For the past 95 years, SFA has been an asset to the city of Nacogdoches, to this area that we love and call the Pony Woods, and to the great state of Texas. We have been blessed with strong leadership from early on with our first president, the vision of Alton Birdwell, and we continue to maintain that quality of leadership today with Dr. Patillo and his administration and staff. And while we proudly look back on the last 95 years, please know that the Board of Regents is looking forward to our future. We want to ensure you that we will do everything that we can to continue for SFA to have the success and build new, beautiful buildings and to set records of enrollment and do what we can to meet the needs of our SFA family. So thank you for coming and being part of the celebration, and happy birthday, SFA.
Thank you very much. I might just make a comment on the side that before our program started today, I visited a number of individuals, and I did not receive one complaint about us moving this program inside today. I just wanted to make sure it's still okay with you. Next, we're going to hear from Mr. Jeffrey and Gula. He is our president of our student body. He is the junior classification, and he is from Dallas, and he's going to read the readings on behalf of our student body. Jeffrey.
like to begin by thanking Dr. Patillo for this invitation. It's a great honor to speak on behalf of the student body on this historic occasion. For 95 years, SFA served the people of this region, the great state of Texas, and this country. And as students, I think it's safe to say that we're fortunate to be at such a wonderful university. You could travel the entire world and not find one of them like SFA. Yes, there are bigger schools that have bigger names and larger sizes, but there's one section about SFA. Others would certainly envy the exceptional people that make this place special. I realize today we're here to celebrate this great institution, but I think it wouldn't be right if I didn't mention one person in particular whose contributions to this place are unmistakable. Dr. Baker Patillo has served SFA for over 50 years. I hope I don't make him too old if I point out that he's been putting a mark on this university for more than half of its existence. I personally appreciate all he does and all he has done to make this place great. I would also like to recognize the tremendous educators here at SFA, inside and outside of the classroom. Recently, SFA President Dr. A.W. Birdwell was featured in the Pine Log and left some advice that really resonated with me. In his 1931 welcome letter to SFA students, Dr. Birdwell wrote, "Hard study is your main business here, but you will make a mistake if you do nothing else. In addition to your study, you should take an active part in one or more college activities." I've gained so much from my core curricular involvement here at SFA. The spirit and traditions of SFA are such a big part of what makes us special. I know there are many others here who want to speak, and I wouldn't want to stand between the group and the cake and ice cream that is about to be served. But allow me to say, on behalf of all SFA students, thank you to everyone whose passions have made SFA the place that is become, and I look forward, along with my fellow peers, to helping SFA to continue this tradition of excellence in the near future. Thank you, and Axum Jacks.
I'm debating. We'll talk later. Next, we have a very special person. This is a person that overlaps the community and the university. I'm talking about Ms. Shelley Brophy. She is the mayor of Nacogdoches, and of course, we have a close working relationship with the community. She was on our city council for a number of years, served as a commissioner. Before then, she was elected as our mayor. I might point out to you that her late husband, Dr. Bill Brophy, was head of the history department here at the university, and at one time served as interim president of the university. So she knows this university very well and is very concerned about it, and makes sure that when there are issues, the city that we need to talk about, that we all know what's going on, and we appreciate her very much. It's my understanding, as Senator Nichols said, she has a resolution that she is going to read to us today from the city. So at this time, Mayor Brophy.
Thank you, Dr. Patillo, and I bring you and your administration congratulations and greetings from the city, also to the Board of Regents, fabulous faculty and staff that are here, and the extraordinary students that you have in attendance. This is a proclamation. Whereas members of the local community played a vital role in the selection of Nacogdoches as the location for a higher education institution named for the father of Texas. And whereas, since its founding, Stephen F. Austin State University has flourished under the visionary leadership of presidents who dedicated themselves to serving others. And whereas Nacogdoches continues to support the university through patronage of its athletic events, beautiful gardens, fine arts performances, and exhibits. And whereas Stephen F. Austin State University plays a vital role in the civic and economic vitality of Nacogdoches and East Texas. And whereas Nacogdoches citizens have opportunities to engage in new and unique learning opportunities as a result of the educational offerings of SFA. And whereas the attention of the state and nation is drawn to Nacogdoches as a result of the university's academic, athletic, and fine arts achievements. And whereas with more than 100,000 living alumni, Stephen F. Austin State University has educated generations of Nacogdoches residents, including almost 6,000 alumni who currently reside in Nacogdoches County. And whereas, by answering the call to be citizens rather than spectators, SFA students and employees provide many hours of community service and work to build a community of service within a nation of character. Now therefore be it proclaimed, I, Shelley Brophy, Mayor of the City of Nacogdoches, and on behalf of the City Council, do hereby recognize September 18th, 2018 as Founders Day at Stephen F. Austin State University, encouraging all students, faculty, and staff to commemorate the 95th anniversary of the university by participating in 95,000 hours of community service projects that lead to the betterment of life for all of East Texas. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Brophy. Next, we're going to hear from Mr. Craig Turnage, who is our Executive Director of our Alumni Association. He is going to recognize two individuals this morning. He is going to recognize and make presentations to our oldest living lifetime member of the Alumni Association, who is present with us this morning. And he is also going to recognize and make a presentation to our youngest member, lifetime member of the Alumni Association. At this time, Mr. Turnage.
Thank you, Dr. Patillo. It's my honor and privilege to be here this morning to introduce our oldest living alumni, or as we might like to call her, our most senior living alum. It is Miss Esther Mae Johnston. Miss Esther Mae Cornwell Johnston was born in Okmulgee, Oklahoma in 1919. Her family moved to Beaumont, Texas during the Depression when she was 12 years old. She graduated from Beaumont High School in 1936 and then attended Lamar Junior College, where she received an associate's degree in 1938. Esther Mae worked for a year as a medical lab technician in the Beaumont area before deciding to pursue her bachelor's degree at Stephen F. Austin Teachers College. Esther Mae moved into brand new Gibbs Hall in the fall of 1936. At SFA, Esther Mae was a member of the Gibbs Hall Council, served as vice president of both the Women's Council and the Amenity Social Club. In the spring of her first year, Esther Mae was elected Miss Daisy Mae for the SFA Sadie Hawkins event. It was the Sadie Hawkins event that led Miss Esther Mae to her first date with a town boy, which that's an SFA student from Nacogdoches, Mr. Everett Johnston. They were married for 54 years. Esther Mae graduated from SFA in 1941 with a degree in English. She began her teaching career at Nacogdoches High School, but spent most of her 30 years teaching 6th and 7th grade, language arts and social studies at Margaret B. Henderson Elementary School in Dallas, ISD. You know, we were talking earlier, and she truly taught the whole child, not just the education, but the whole child. Esther Mae spent most of her volunteer time serving in her church, where she was the first woman ever to be named Elder Emeritus. Esther Mae lives with her daughter and son-in-law in Austin. She's a proud grandmother of 2 young women. The older is pursuing a PhD in ethics at the University of Chicago, and the younger recently received her Master's of Social Work degree from the University of Texas. Those are her 2 grandchildren. And we are very honored and privileged that Miss Esther May could join us today, all the way from Austin. I'm sure as many on the platform could agree, it's not easy to get here from Austin, Texas. So we very much appreciate you, Miss Esther May, for coming down this morning. Mary Lou and Ted, thank y'all very much for being here. And as a token of our appreciation, we have a small gift for you, Miss Esther May, so we'll give that to you right now. And now, on to our youngest living alum. Our youngest living alum is Mr. Jackson Baker Brown, who was born on June 21st, 2013 at Nacogdoches Medical Center. The day of his birth, he became a lifetime member of the SFA Alumni Association. Only 9 short weeks later, Jackson began his education at the SFASU Early Childhood Lab. He graduated from the SFA Early Childhood Lab on May 18th, 2018. He currently attends kindergarten at SFA Charter School. We appreciate the charter school letting him out today to come join us. Jackson loves Legos, and I can attest to his Lego building skills. They are very good. He's going to be a great lumberjack engineer one day. Blocks, he loves playing with those, and of course loves the lumberjack marching band. Dr. Campo, Dr. Angelin, all right, they have a band member with us, and he is a member of the First United Methodist Church. Both of Jackson's parents and his grandparents are lifetime members of the SFA Alumni Association, and we are so proud to have Mr. Jackson Baker Brown as our youngest living alum. Congratulations, Jackson. Got a little gift for you. We appreciate both of them being here this morning, and as always, Axe and Jacks.
Congratulations to both of our recipients, and we truly appreciate you coming from Austin. I know especially what it's like traveling to Austin, as well as Senator Nichols. We go often, and it's difficult, and we thank you so much for making the trip. And Jackson Baker Brown didn't have very far to come across campus. And next we have Ms. Jill Steele, who is our Vice President for Advancement, and she is going to cover a number of topics, recognize a number of individuals at this point. Ms. Jill Steele.
Thank you all for being here today. The 95th Anniversary Committee was charged with ensuring this historic event is commemorated and celebrated. The top priority was planning today's campus-wide celebration. Well, here we are now. Today, you will experience the time-honored tradition of birthday cake and ice cream. 95 years ago, the faculty and students celebrated SFA's first president, Dr. Alton Birdwell's birthday on the first day of class by serving cake and ice cream. Over the years, we have continued to serve cake and ice cream for our milestone anniversaries of the university. The newest tradition is the inclusion of not only white cake, but also purple vanilla flavored ice cream. So we want to incorporate those colors, of course. You'll get to experience that in a moment. On that note, let me introduce some special guests here with us today. We have Dr. Birdwell's great niece, Linda Birdwell Bice, and her husband, Chuck Bice of Magnolia, Texas. And Chuck, you have 2 degrees from SFA, and I know both of you have so much family history in terms of the Birdwells. Will you let us recognize you? Would you please stand? Thank you for being here today. Also also, let me real quickly, but importantly, recognize the 95th Anniversary Committee members that are here with us today. Please stand when I call your name and remain standing. Ron Watson, Director of the Physical Plant. See Ron? Thank you. Craig Turnage, Executive Director of Alumni Affairs and the Alumni Association. Shirley Luna, Executive Director of University Marketing Communications. She's in the back. Wave, Shirley. Trey Turner, Director of Development. April Smith, Associate Director of Development. Dr. Adam Peck, Dean of Student Affairs. Sam Smith, Director of Student Services in the Baker Patillo Student Center. And Sam, we have to thank for the purple ice cream. John Branch from Athletics, who could not be here today. Corbin Pate from Athletics. Jason Reese from Faculty Senate and Faculty. And Sherry Morgan from the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and she could not be here today as well. But thank you all for your help, and I look forward to all of you serving with us to celebrate the 100th, 5 years from now. So how will we celebrate this milestone birthday all year long? We have hung, many of you have already seen the big 95th banner hanging on the first building, as Dr. Jerry Jackson talked about, the Stephen F. Austin building. It will hang there all year long with purple lights shining at night. Again, that is a great photo op. We experienced that for the 90th and doing that again for the 95th because it was such a big hit. We will also have street banners that go up today that surround the campus, the outer perimeter, to bring awareness to the 95th. Under the direction of our Executive Director of Marketing, Shirley Luna, we've gathered groups of SFA students and other stakeholders together in various locations across the campus to record them singing various lines of the school song. We used these clips to create a video that for the first time ever brought that school song to life, if you will. Please let me extend a special thanks to our university videographer, Trey Cartwright, and Gary Wirtz, our director of the School of Music, for their contributions to this video. You'll be able to view this video by clicking on the 95th icon on the front of our university website at sfasu.edu. But I thought it might be appropriate before we do that to share it with you here today. So if I could get your help, Nick, we'll share that with everyone. Thank you again, Shirley Luna, for your coordination of that video. It was actually Shirley's idea. I'll give her all the credit. Now that you've seen the video, let's ask Anita Hudson, our lecturer in the School of Music, to come forward to lead us in the school song as we conclude this event.
Please join me. Oh, future bright, neath the purple and white, all hail to SFA. Mid Texas pines, we have found peaceful shrines where every month is May.
This is not a time for words, this is a time for ice cream and cake. So you'll see it around the walls and across the back. Please enjoy it. And once again, thanks for your attendance.